First, let's talk about what led me to buy the Sumo Springs. In June of 2022, we were heading to Estes Park on I-80. And at that time, I-80 hadn't been resurfaced yet, so it was a bumpy ride. We were nearing Utica, Illinois, which is by Starved Rock State Park, if any of you have ever been there. And I noticed the trailer was hugging the side shoulder while I was almost all the way to the left lane, and I thought something's wrong. So we exited, got to our campground and got set up and looked, and our whole rear axle had skewed out. And when I crawled underneath, I noticed that the leaf springs had slid out like a deck of cards. The shear pin that holds them all pinned together broke. When that happened, we naturally panicked. We called Bill Martin, who returned my call. Bill Martin is the Vice President of Customer Service for Alliance RV. He returned our call. He had one of his people, Kevin Caudill, give us a call. We sent pictures. They referred us to Roadside Repairs. They gave us a warranty claim form to fill out with Dexter Axle. We filled out the warranty claim form. We got ourselves fixed and on the road. They put a new shear pin in. And when we came home from our vacation, we had a brand new axle and leaf springs waiting for us at General RV in North Canton, which we scheduled to have installed. Let's fast forward to April of 2025. We were on our road trip. We were heading to Zephyr Cove, Nevada from Massillon, Ohio. And we were in Colville, Utah. We had the same scenario. I was walking around the camper doing checks, and Debbie was walking around the other side, and she said, our wheel doesn't look right. So I looked, and I noticed that the wheel had maybe 2.5 or 3 inch gap in between the two wheels. And on the other side, it was maybe 6 or 7 inches. And I thought, oh no, here we go again. So I crawled in there and looked, and well, this time we had a broken leaf spring. It had broken and it had rested on the underside of the frame. Again, we called Alliance. Actually, I didn't call Alliance. I emailed Alliance, got a response right away. Kevin Caudill sent me a warranty for Dexter Axle again. We filled the warranty out while we were waiting for repairs. We got our invoice and receipt. We actually got really good service from a company in Colville, out of Salt Lake City. They were there within an hour. They did the work. It took about an hour for them to replace the leaf springs, and we were back on the road again, happy campers. I think it was about $350. So we got home. We received a check from Dexter by the time we got home. So we were happy there. When the mechanic out of Salt Lake City replaced our leaf spring, he showed us under the frame where the leaf spring had been riding on the frame, and it had literally sawed a little notch in our frame rail. He said that you're going to be fine for the rest of the trip, because we were again in Colville, Utah from Massillon. We still had another 1,000 miles or so to go to Zephyr Cove. So he said, you'll be okay. He said, you should get it welded up when you get home. So when we got home, we looked around and we hired a mobile welder. And we hired a really good mobile welder, Sparky's Welding. And he's a welder, not a grinder. I always joke about that because there's a lot of guys that weld and they spend more time grinding their welds clean. He came out, he had a really cool welding truck. He had some high-tech spray. He sprayed the whole underbelly of the camper all around. And this spray conducts absolutely no heat. So he's throwing sparks and he's touching it with his bare hand. It was pretty cool to watch. When we pull out again, we're going to go to a cat scale and we're just going to weigh the whole rig and make sure. But we doubt we were overloaded. It's the passenger rear side. We carry almost nothing there. We have our love seat and a sofa there. And in our side cargo bays that are next to the sofa, we keep our warranty books and things like that. So, and then I read the instructions thoroughly. I assembled them. I made sure that I had the brackets in the right locations and positions. And I got underneath and I got my torque wrench out and I got underneath and I started installing them. I lifted them, right or wrong, I lifted them with my jacks, my hydraulic jacks, but I just had to raise it enough to get the Sumo Spring under there. My driver's side front tire, I had to put a bottle jack under to lift it up for enough clearance. And I also had to move my propane, yeah, I think it was a propane line. And then I also have a rear camera. I call it a Ramera because when I ordered my 2023 Ram 3500, I ordered it with the bumper camera. So it's got a cable that runs all the way under the back of the camper and up to the top, and the camera sits down and aims at traffic. And it's pretty cool. And I have a digital rearview mirror. I can show that in another video. So anyway, so I had to move those two cables out. They give you the kits to do that, and that's great. Well, on the instructions, on my instructions, the word line wrapped, it said torque to 120 inch pounds. Duh. Next line said 10 foot-pounds. It was down. If I had just scrolled my eyes down one more line before I went underneath the camper to do the install, I would have seen that and it would have been like, oh, well, it was too late at that point. So I looked at it. I took pictures. I contacted Sumo Springs International, who was very, very helpful. By the way, there is no sponsorship and there were no freebies here. So I had to pay for my mistake. So that's why I'm making this video. I'm hoping to help you not have to pay for a mistake. I know better. I should have known better. The videos I watched say tighten it down, snug it, and everyone did it a different way. But I got my torque wrench out and went crazy. So I did correct it. I went back and I used my 5 to 45 pound torque wrench, and I went back and I torqued them all to the 10 foot-pounds that they were supposed to be. Actually, I think it came out to 10.6 foot-pounds, but I think that's okay, and that's still in spec. So when I looked underneath, sent pictures, I have one bracket that kind of squished. I had the opportunity to put them on. So I'm going to take you down underneath the camper, and we're going to start replacing those brackets and seeing if they really are bent. Let's see if I can get this loose now. Yep. There, one down. And let's go. It's important to get the brackets in the right location. 151 goes over the top, and according to the diagram, it faces the inside of the axle. So we're going to put this back up there loosely. We have thread lock on that they provide. Although I don't know why you need thread lock on this, because you got the weight of the camper holding it down. Okay, here we go. Okay, now we gotta have the center lined up too, under the center of the frame. I'll tighten this down just a little bit by hand here, just so it's not slopping. And this ratchet keeps jumping on its own. It's got a mind of its own. Let's make sure that we're still fairly centered here. There we go. Maybe a little more. I want to get this as centered as possible in here. I chose to replace all four. So I think the moral of this story and my fiasco is to pay attention. I get excited when I get new toys, and yeah, it's not a toy; it's a piece of equipment. It's a leaf spring, it's a suspension, and you know, when I go to suspension and torque, right away you think heavy duty. At least I do, and it's gonna, you know, be under there for a while. It's got to be tough. It's got to hold on, but that's not the case with these. It's a 10 foot-pound torque. The weight of the camper holds the spring compressed against the camper. I didn't have to use any spacers in my install. And again, I'm waiting to road test. I think this is going to be a great addition to our rig, and I'm hoping that it helps solve the problem with my leaf springs. If you found any of this interesting or helpful, please, you know, hit the like button. And you can subscribe too. It doesn't cost you anything, and it would help me and my channel out. Well, thank you very much for watching.